Okay, so let's talk about the basics of the wheels. This is a Nova 7-inch made by Mboards, and it's 175 in diameter and 50 millimeters in contact patch. The rated max speed is 50 miles per hour and the max load is 300 pounds. The suggested PSI for this tire is 36 PSI, but if you want a little more grip, just like me, I always use about 25 to 26 PSI. But during all my testing, I actually did 32 PSI. For Mboards, the Nova tires were born out of desire to produce a tire that can be used for all conditions, whether it's out for the casual cruise or pushing hard during a race session, or even just carving hard like me. Mboards had the idea to do their own tire in 2022. It stemmed from not only having low availability for tires in stock, they went through 3 or 4 different designs before landing on this one, and this one is their final product. The square tire design yields more grip when cornering and positively influences high-speed stability with the larger contact patch. Most tires provide about 30 millimeters of contact patch. Even with a heavier rider, these tires provide maximum 50 millimeter contact patch for all riders. Instead of using a synthetic rubber as a main compound, which is the common material choice and it's a cheaper option, they opted for a natural rubber. They made this choice for one reason: grip. So not only was I pushing the carb as hard as I can, but I try to emulate a racer's strategy and style by taking the corners like this. I'm not much of a racer, but I can take corners pretty damn hard, and they held the grip incredibly well. Probably the best 7-inch I've ever tried. The natural rubber that they are using has incredible wear resistance, meaning longer life, and it has a tensile strength of fibers that is much stronger than synthetic, leading to less punctures. Now, some of you might bring up, hey, the Ace-Deck and the Meepo Cyclones are already good racing tires. Now, I don't disagree there, but in my personal opinion, those two tires are extremely wide and extremely heavy. When it's that wide and heavy, it will compromise the ride, meaning it'll be harder to turn the board. And if it's harder to turn the board and it requires more energy to do so, then you're less agile. And if you're less agile, then that kind of compromises the racing aspect of things. Now, this Ace-Deck tire right here is their 7-inch vacuum tire, which is technically a 180 millimeter wheel, but that's a flat tire. So here's a fully inflated Ace-Deck tire. As you can see, I put a bushing on the right side in order to stand it up. The reason why it can't stand on its own is because the contact patch is now less when you inflate the tire. The Nova tire does not do this. The 65 millimeter contact patch Meepo Cyclones, like I mentioned before, are just too wide and too chunky. When you're taking turns or carving or racing with these tires, you can really feel it requires more energy to take turns harder with these wheels. Now here's a standard Evolve 7-inch. I still like these tires a lot, but if you require more contact patch, more grip, especially for racing, I suggest the Novas. It also seems like they're a little bit more puncture resistant and last a little longer. So I like to look at the Nova like a good middle ground. It's not as wide as the Ace-Deck and the Meepo Cyclone wheels, but it's definitely wider than something like a standard 7-inch Sunmate or a 7-inch Evolve tire. Now switching gears towards a 6-inch. This is just to show you the diameter difference from this to my favorite Hoda 6-inch tires. As you can see, it's a bigger tire and also a wider contact patch. I've always loved the Hoda because it doesn't have crazy amount of tread on it, and the same goes for the Nova tire. Now they do have a 6-inch Nova tire already available. It's 150 millimeter by 50 millimeter contact patch, and it looks perfect. I love the look of this because since I'm utilizing the same thing in a 7-inch, I have to imagine that this tire tread and this low profile feel is exactly what I'm looking for, because the new BKB 6-inch and the new On My Way 6-inch is somewhat like this, but the treading on them is a little bit too much for my liking. The Nova tire has a perfect amount of tread in it, so that combined with the smooth natural rubber along with the low profile tire that I like, this is going to be perfect. But what's good about 7-inch is that since it's a larger diameter, you have more clearance. And when you have more clearance, you can ride over things like this. You can go off-roading. It's a little bit better with bad roads, going over hills like this, going over curbs like this. It just makes your mind a little bit more at ease when you have a bigger diameter tire. Now let's see how it handles bad roads, rougher terrain, and off-roading. Check it out. Final thoughts. So if you're looking for an all-around great quality 7-inch tire that's race ready, off-roading ready, or you simply want a trustworthy rubber to carve hard on and not break traction, this is definitely a great choice. I think something like those Meepo Cyclone wheels are just too chunky, too heavy, and they're actually very expensive. These tires are only $99, or if you want to add in the tubes and the AT hubs, it's only $135. I just think it's pretty silly if you're going to compromise your ride in order to get a race-ready wheel. These will absolutely give you that race-ready feel and not break traction during a hard turn or a hard carve, and easily handle some off-roading, all the while being affordable, durable, and from a great growing company that's based off in the USA. Thank you for watching, guys. Please comment, like, share, subscribe. Have a good one, guys.